The pastor's first public response to the storm was to ask his 6 million followers on Twitter to join him in prayer for his fellow Texans. But many on social media were not satisfied and said, "You can do better."
At its peak, Lakewood Church seemed unstoppable. Every weekend, tens of thousands of people packed into one of the largest church buildings in America. Millions more watched from around the world. Led by Joel Osteen, the church became a symbol of optimism, prosperity, and modern faith. It generated enormous revenue, sold millions of books, and transformed a former sports arena into a global religious brand. But beneath the success, warning signs were beginning to appear. Attendance started falling, controversies mounted, and public trust weakened. How did America's most famous megachurch find itself facing so many challenges? The story is more complicated than most people realize. Hurricane Harvey and the backlash. In August 2017, Houston faced one of the worst natural disasters in its history. Hurricane Harvey made landfall along the Texas coast before stalling over the region, unleashing catastrophic rainfall that seemed almost impossible to comprehend. Entire neighborhoods disappeared beneath floodwaters. Roads became rivers. Thousands of homes were damaged or destroyed. Families found themselves trapped, stranded, or forced to flee with little more than the belongings they could carry. As the crisis unfolded, emergency shelters began opening across the city. Schools, convention centers, churches, and community facilities worked to accommodate the growing number of displaced residents. With tens of thousands of people in need of assistance, attention naturally turned toward one of Houston's most recognizable landmarks, Lakewood Church. The former sports arena occupied by Lakewood was one of the largest indoor facilities in the city. With seating for more than 16,000 people and extensive resources at its disposal, many residents assumed the church would quickly become a major shelter and relief center. Instead, controversy erupted. During the early stages of the disaster, reports surfaced that Lakewood Church had not yet opened its doors to flood victims. Church representatives stated that severe flooding had made the facility inaccessible and unsafe. Public statements suggested that water conditions around the property prevented normal operations. However, as social media users began posting photographs and videos of the area surrounding the church, a different narrative emerged. Images appeared to show roads, entrances, and parking lots that looked largely free of floodwater. Local residents shared footage online, questioning why such a large facility remained closed while shelters elsewhere were already receiving evacuees. The images spread rapidly across Facebook, Twitter, and news outlets, generating intense public scrutiny. Almost overnight, the issue became a national story. Questions flooded social media. Why wasn't the largest church in Houston open? Why wasn't a ministry known for its message of hope and generosity providing immediate shelter? Why did smaller churches seem to be responding faster than one of the wealthiest religious organizations in America? As the criticism intensified, national media organizations picked up the story. Television commentators, journalists, and online critics debated whether Lakewood had failed a crucial test of leadership during a moment of crisis. The longer the controversy lasted, the more damaging it became. Eventually, Lakewood announced that it would open its doors and partner with relief organizations, including the Red Cross and local authorities, to assist flood victims. The facility began serving as a shelter and distribution center, helping those affected by the disaster. But by then, public perception had already shifted. For many observers, the issue was never whether Lakewood eventually participated in relief efforts. The issue was why it appeared reluctant to act immediately when the need was greatest. Critics argued that a church possessing enormous resources should have responded more quickly and more visibly. The controversy left a lasting mark on Lakewood's reputation. For supporters, the criticism was unfair and ignored the practical challenges of managing a massive facility during an unprecedented disaster. For critics, Hurricane Harvey exposed what they saw as a disconnect between Lakewood's public image and its real-world actions. Years later, the debate continues to shape discussions about Joel Osteen and his ministry. More than a public relations setback, Hurricane Harvey became a defining moment, one that forced people to ask whether the values preached from Lakewood's stage were fully reflected when the city needed them most. Growing criticism and declining momentum. While Hurricane Harvey damaged public perception of Lakewood Church and its pastor, Joel Osteen, criticism of the ministry had been building for many years before the storm. Much of the skepticism came not only from secular observers, but also from within Christianity itself. Some of the most outspoken critics were pastors, theologians, and religious scholars who argued that Osteen's message placed too much emphasis on personal success, happiness, and prosperity, while giving insufficient attention to traditional Christian teachings such as repentance, sacrifice, and doctrinal instruction. These critics contended that Lakewood Church often prioritized motivation over theology and encouragement over spiritual depth. Osteen's sermons, known for their positive and uplifting tone, attracted millions of viewers and helped make him one of the most recognizable religious figures in America. However, opponents argued that the messages frequently focused on achieving personal goals, overcoming obstacles, and receiving God's favor rather than exploring more complex theological issues. The criticism became even more visible during several high-profile interviews in which Osteen avoided taking firm positions on controversial religious topics. When asked about sensitive issues, he often chose to emphasize unity and positivity, rather than engage in direct theological debate. Supporters viewed this approach as inclusive, welcoming, and accessible to people from different backgrounds. They believed his style helped reach audiences who might otherwise feel excluded from organized religion. Critics, however, saw the same approach as vague and evasive, arguing that a major religious leader should provide clearer answers on important matters of faith and doctrine. The debate surrounding Lakewood intensified during the COVID-19 pandemic. Like thousands of churches around the world, Lakewood shifted its services online as public gatherings became restricted. The church's high-quality broadcasts continued to impress viewers, featuring professional production values, music, and polished presentations. Yet the transition also changed how audiences experienced the services. Without tens of thousands of worshipers filling the arena each week, viewers focused more directly on the sermons themselves. For some longtime observers, the messages began to feel repetitive. Themes such as breakthrough, victory, favor, blessings, and success appeared frequently from week to week. While many followers continued to find inspiration in these messages, others felt that the sermons lacked variety and deeper engagement with Scripture. The criticism added to broader questions about the church's long-term direction and influence. At the same time, Lakewood experienced noticeable declines in attendance. Observers estimated that weekly attendance fell significantly from its peak of more than 50,000 people to roughly half that number. Reports also suggested that donations decreased during this period, reflecting challenges faced by many religious organizations during the pandemic. Additional controversy emerged when Lakewood Church accepted a federal Paycheck Protection Program (PPP) loan designed to help organizations retain employees during the economic shutdown. Although the church stated that it qualified for the program, public criticism quickly followed. In response to the backlash, Lakewood eventually returned the funds. Then another unusual story captured national attention. In 2021, a plumber working inside the church reportedly discovered hundreds of thousands of dollars in cash and checks hidden behind a wall. The money was linked to a theft that had been reported years earlier. The strange discovery generated widespread headlines and further fueled questions about accountability, financial oversight, and operational transparency within one of America's largest and most influential megachurches. Building a megachurch empire. Lakewood Church's transformation began with a vision so ambitious that many people questioned whether it could actually succeed. In 2003, church leaders signed a long-term lease agreement for Houston's former Compaq Center, a massive sports arena that had once served as the home court of the Houston Rockets. For years, the building had hosted professional basketball games, sold-out concerts, and major entertainment events. Few people imagined it would eventually become one of the largest and most recognizable churches in the world. Rather than making a few cosmetic changes and calling it a sanctuary, Lakewood committed to a complete transformation. The goal was not simply to create a larger worship space. The goal was to create an experience unlike anything most churches had ever attempted. The renovation project cost nearly $100 million and took several years to complete. Construction crews stripped much of the arena's interior and rebuilt it from the ground up. New floors were added to house administrative offices, conference rooms, children's ministries, educational facilities, and one of the most sophisticated religious broadcast centers in America. The centerpiece of the project was the sanctuary itself. With seating for more than 16,000 people, the space rivaled major concert venues and performing arts centers. Two enormous high-definition video screens were installed on either side of the stage, allowing attendees in the farthest sections to see every detail of the service. Advanced lighting systems capable of producing dramatic visual effects were integrated throughout the building. State-of-the-art audio equipment ensured that every sermon, song, and announcement could be heard clearly from every seat in the arena. Nothing about the design felt traditional. Visitors entering the sanctuary encountered a space designed to inspire awe through scale and technology. The environment was carefully crafted to create energy, excitement, and anticipation long before Joel Osteen stepped onto the stage. The transformation reflected a broader shift taking place within modern megachurch culture. Worship was no longer viewed solely as a gathering. It was becoming an event. Every weekend, hundreds of staff members and volunteers worked behind the scenes to make that event possible. Camera operators captured multiple angles throughout the service. Lighting technicians coordinated cues. Audio engineers managed sound levels. Directors supervised live broadcasts reaching audiences far beyond Houston. Each service functioned much like a television production. Nothing was left to chance. Every transition, every camera shot, and every musical performance was planned to create a smooth and polished presentation. The goal was to provide the same level of quality viewers might expect from a national television program or major live entertainment event. For those attending in person, the experience often felt more like a concert than a traditional church service. Large crowds, powerful music, giant screens, and professional production values combined to create an atmosphere that was both energetic and emotionally engaging. As attendance grew, the arena itself became central to Lakewood's identity. Packed services created a sense of momentum and success. Thousands of people gathering under one roof reinforced the image of a ministry experiencing extraordinary growth. The sight of full seating sections and enthusiastic crowds became powerful symbols of Lakewood's influence. More than just a building, the former Compaq Center became a monument to Joel Osteen's ministry philosophy. It reflected his emphasis on positivity, accessibility, and reaching the largest audience possible. The arena represented a vision of faith designed for the modern age, broadcast-ready, visually impressive, and capable of attracting people who might never have entered a traditional church. For years, the strategy worked brilliantly. The transformed arena became one of the most famous church buildings in the world and helped establish Lakewood Church as a global religious powerhouse whose influence extended far beyond the city of Houston. The business of inspiration. Lakewood Church's rise was about far more than filling seats on a Sunday morning. While the massive crowds inside Houston's former Compaq Center attracted headlines, the true power of the ministry came from something much larger. Under Joel Osteen's leadership, Lakewood evolved into a global media empire capable of reaching audiences far beyond the walls of its arena-sized sanctuary. At its peak, the church operated on a financial scale that rivaled many major corporations and nonprofit organizations. Annual revenue reportedly approached $90 million, with most of that funding coming directly from supporters through tithes, offerings, donations, conferences, and ministry-related products. Every weekend, thousands of attendees contributed to a system designed not only to support local church operations, but also to fuel a worldwide broadcasting network. Managing an organization of that size required a large workforce. Lakewood employed hundreds of staff members responsible for a wide range of duties. Some worked behind the scenes producing television broadcasts. Others managed event planning, administration, translation services, marketing, and technical operations. It was a complex organization functioning as both a church and a multimedia enterprise. The heart of that enterprise was Joel Osteen himself. His message reached far beyond Houston through television. Every week, millions of viewers tuned in to watch his sermons, and broadcasts were distributed in more than 100 countries around the world. Through television, Lakewood became one of the most recognizable ministries on the planet. Viewers who had never visited Texas felt connected to the church through their screens. The expansion did not stop with television. Osteen's publishing success helped transform him into a global figure. His books became fixtures in bookstores, airports, and online retail platforms. Titles such as Your Best Life Now and Become a Better You sold millions of copies worldwide and consistently appeared on bestseller lists. These publications introduced his message to audiences who may never have attended a church service but were searching for motivation, encouragement, and personal growth. At the center of everything was a simple and highly marketable message. Osteen focused on themes of hope, positivity, faith, and God's favor. His sermons emphasized overcoming obstacles, expecting blessings, maintaining a positive outlook, and believing that better opportunities were ahead. Rather than concentrating on theological debates or controversial social issues, he presented faith as a source of encouragement and empowerment. For many people, the message was deeply appealing. Supporters viewed it as practical, uplifting, and accessible. They appreciated its focus on optimism during difficult times and its emphasis on personal growth. Millions found comfort in hearing that their circumstances could improve and that God had a positive future planned for them. Critics, however, saw things differently. Some argued that Lakewood's teachings avoided more challenging aspects of Christianity, including discussions of sin, suffering, repentance, sacrifice, and judgment. They claimed the ministry focused too heavily on success and happiness while neglecting deeper theological themes. Yet, regardless of where people stood in the debate, one fact was undeniable. The formula worked. The message appealed to a broad audience, avoided divisive controversies, and helped create one of the most successful religious brands in modern history. For years, growth seemed endless, revenues remained strong, and Joel Osteen's popularity continued to expand. But even the most successful brands can face moments that change public perception forever. And for Lakewood Church, that moment was about to arrive. Security challenges and an uncertain future. The most serious incident in Lakewood Church's recent history occurred on February 11, 2024. During a Sunday service attended by thousands of worshipers, a woman carrying an AR-15-style rifle entered the church and opened fire. The frightening scene unfolded in a matter of moments, transforming what had begun as a routine day of worship into a crisis. Fortunately, off-duty police officers serving as security personnel were present and responded immediately. Their quick actions stopped the attack before it could cause even greater loss of life. Even so, the incident shocked the congregation, dominated national headlines, and renewed concerns about security at large public gatherings. Amid the chaos, a 7-year-old child was critically wounded, making the tragedy even more heartbreaking. The event served as a stark reminder that no public venue is completely immune to acts of violence. For megachurches, such as Lakewood, the challenge is especially complex. Their mission emphasizes openness, hospitality, and accessibility, welcoming thousands of visitors each week. Yet the very qualities that make these churches inviting also create security challenges. Screening every attendee while maintaining a welcoming atmosphere is difficult, making absolute protection nearly impossible. The attack exposed vulnerabilities that many large ministries quietly worry about. As churches continue to host massive gatherings, questions surrounding emergency preparedness, security staffing, surveillance systems, and crisis response plans have become increasingly important. Religious organizations across the country have been forced to reevaluate how they balance safety with their commitment to remaining open and accessible to the public. At the same time, Lakewood faces challenges that extend far beyond physical security. Like many churches across the United States, it has experienced the effects of declining religious participation. Younger generations are increasingly choosing to engage with faith through digital platforms rather than attending services in person. Live streams, podcasts, social media content, and online communities have transformed how people connect with religious teachings and spiritual leaders. Ironically, the technological innovations that once helped Lakewood expand its influence may now be contributing to its struggles. When sermons and worship services can be accessed instantly from anywhere in the world, the advantages of gathering in a massive arena become less compelling for some audiences. Meanwhile, the costs of operating and maintaining such a large facility remain significant. As a result, Lakewood Church faces critical questions about its future. Can the megachurch model continue to thrive in a rapidly changing culture? And can a ministry built around large in-person gatherings successfully adapt to an increasingly digital world? For now, those questions remain unanswered, and the future of America's most famous megachurch remains uncertain. Today, Lakewood Church remains one of the most influential ministries in the world. It still attracts thousands of worshipers, reaches millions through television and online broadcasts, and continues to play a major role in modern American Christianity. Yet the challenges it faces are impossible to ignore. Declining attendance, financial pressures, public controversies, security concerns, and changing cultural attitudes have all placed new pressure on an organization that once seemed untouchable. Whether Lakewood can adapt to these changes may determine its future for decades to come. One thing is certain: the story of Lakewood Church is no longer simply a story of growth. It is now a story of resilience, reinvention, and survival. What do you think the future holds for Lakewood Church? Let us know in the comments below. And don't forget to like and subscribe for more fascinating stories about faith, power, influence, and the people behind the headlines.